Hello, this is Noir Vortex, and today I'm going to be doing a video talking about my experience of being a freelance web developer for the last, or web developer in general, but mostly about the freelancing side of things for the last 8 years, I suppose. Well, 10, technically. So, I'll just talk a bit about my story, as it were. So, I studied. I'll start from the beginning of this. So, high school. So I first got involved in computers when my dad, I think, bought it was a Packard Bell PC he bought for us back in the day, probably about 15, 16, 18 years ago, I suppose now. I'm 31 today, in fact, and that's where I first got really introduced to the world of computing, I suppose. My first real good introduction to probably one of the best introductions one can have to computing, actually, because the first thing I really ever did on a computer was explore Descent. It's a 3D game, and people might remember it from back in the day, in fact. You'd fly around in a kind of 3D environment, rescuing hostages and shooting robots. It's a really, really good game. It's kind of out around the same time as Doom it was out, and it's kind of revolutionary in the same similar sense. And that just blew my mind. I played this game and I was like, you can do this on a computer? I mean, previous to that, I'd just seen my dad using DOS and just doing quite boring business things on the computer. But then, Dad got this Packard Bell PC with games and educational things as well. So Descent, but also we had a really cool game where you could fly around the body zapping bugs. Probably a lot of people remember it. I think it's 3D Body Explorer. And then things like 3D Movie Maker, like Spider Animator. We had some little nice programs on there where you could explore technology creatively. So that kind of gave me the bug for it, is using these programs on the computer, which were quite creative and allowed you just to explore not just system building, but actually using the computer in a creative way, or in a creative process, I suppose. So anyway, I became a nerd who spent a lot of time making stuff on his computer, playing his computer, generally just arsing around and finding out about how the system works, like Windows 95 or whatever we were on at the time. Did a bit of messing around with DOS as well in school. So when I was secondary school, we would, primary IT classes, it kind of, for some reason, I seemed to be naturally adept at using computers. I didn't really excel in any of the other areas in school, but I was always good at computing and whether you word processing, making simple websites, back to like HTML, just HTML back in the day, I think. And then, using things like front page, I think, would be the first thing I ever used. So that was very early days. But I kind of got a bug for it then, which was nice. So then, obviously, because having a passion for that thing, and I used to, when I was a teenager as well, I used to do a lot of game design, actually, which I still do to this day. There's no string to the bow, I suppose. But I did quite into building levels for Duke Nukem 3D. There's one funny story which I'm sure mate Tom will remember well, of one of the first levels I built on there. Well, I think it's the second actually, but basically I made this level called Poo City, which is basically just a giant level full of textures of poo and just shit everywhere. That's hilarious. But then beyond that, a bit of a glib point, I'm just trying to make it a bit humorous as well. I made quite an advanced level with a lot of, we had kind of scripted events in the build engine. The build engine was amazing as well. And then also kind of starting to think more architecturally how players navigate through spaces. You had to have triggers and things in the Duke Nukem build engine, for what I remember, because it's been 15 years. But it was, which then would, player input, triggers player input, and opens doors and things, which was, and it kind of got me thinking more about how to structured environments as well as just experiencing them in computer systems, I suppose. I've played a lot of FPS, a lot of role-playing games, I suppose, back in the day. So yeah, anyway, and then I did a bit of Neverwinter Nights module development, which you can actually still download here. I'll put a link to one of my modules below. Basically, yeah, because nicely, I've actually found there's this work I did on a module called Escape from Mount Gordak, which was actually my first ever reviewed game thing I ever did, because a lot of it, obviously, you work in isolation, no one ever sees it, but that got reviewed and the file's still up at Neverwinter Night. I'm going to provide a mirror anyway, but so you can actually still play that. I made that when I was 17 or something, studying at college, and that was the first game thing I ever made, and you can still download Neverwinter Nights and play it. Actually, it's quite fairly simple to play, but I digress. I'm going off on a one. So that was all while I was at college. So yeah, primary school, we got quite into it. Computing whenever we got experience. Well, it was more at home when you didn't really get exposed to much computers in primary school. Really, it's more at home when my dad kind of encouraged me to take it up because he saw that I had some degree of aptitude with it. Then secondary school, got a bit better. I suppose I went to computer club and stuff and started having more fun with it, I suppose. As well as boring shit like Excel and all the shit you have to kind of learn, but which is kind of not the really exciting, fun stuff. I mean, I went to the computer club because I was kind of getting into the multimedia side of things, but also a bit on the website side of things, like really just the first experience of making. I think I made some kind of jokey page quite a funny story actually, and one that might provide some hope for disenfranchised teenagers don't really fit in. Basically, I did work experience. I was going to get put to work with my dad. I think he was working for a telecommunications company at the time, so I was going to get placed with him, and then that all fell through for some reason. So I had to then work in Boots in retail, and I was kind of a bit of a rebellious teenager. I didn't really want to have to work in retail. There's nothing wrong with it, of course, but I was just listening to a lot of Dead Kennedys at the time and just thinking basically fuck the system, fuck everything. So I was like, I don't want to work in Boots, but I did for a week, and then I just basically didn't like it and kind of got fired after a week. Because basically what happened is there's a woman who's just being a bit rude, and I just told her she was rude. She did her shit. She was being a fucking bitch basically, but she kind of just came in basically and was being very aggressive towards me, saying that you're not being fast enough and being all like that. So it's been annoying really. So after she left, I went, fuck you, bitch, like that. And then I don't know why I'm going off on that, but I'm going to make this quite an amusing one, I suppose. But then that was good, because then I got time. Basically, just got placed in the computer lab for a week. So oh shit, what do we do with this kid? Just plumped me in it. But it was really good, because then I got a week to myself on the internet, and I basically made a web page there on GeoCities of all places, which was basically just a compilation of my band, Cheese Induced Nightmares. Load of stories about that, load of just nonsense, and then a lot of stuff about Tom Green, which was quite into the time. Anyway, I'm going off on one now. So, yeah, what was I doing? I was saying, college. And then after all this bullshit, I went to college and studied a BTEC in IT. So instead of going the conventional route of doing A levels and having this broad range of knowledge, which I already had anyway, but I didn't really want to apply any of it in any particular direction. I mean, I was always quite good at science, so I was alright at science, got just under a B, I think. So that's pretty average really, but yeah, I knew I was kind of, I don't know, there's no point going into that anyway. Basically, it's quite average across all the other grades, but IT I did really well in, because it's kind of applying everything into one space, I suppose. So, BTEC, did a BTEC in IT, took 3 years, had a bit of a blip in the middle, too long a story to go into, just basically went and smoked loads of weed, and that helped for a bit, but then it became a bit too hectic, and I had to slow down a bit. So, but I did it in the end. That was useful. Learned a lot of we learned .NET, .VB6, which isn't really generally used anymore. We still learned it. HTML, obviously, we learned writing good HTML semantic, and CSS, how you link things in. Obviously, when you first expose to these things, it's kind of a lot to take in, but it actually gets a lot easier. It becomes second nature, to be honest, and obviously it's constantly evolving. But yeah, so that was useful. Went to college, learned all that programming. Like I said, VB.NET. We didn't touch JavaScript actually at college, but this was a while ago now. So. Also, like relational database management, Microsoft Access database, mostly we dealt with, and then we did some other creative things as well, so it was quite useful. College course was actually good. I went to South Cheshire College in Crewe, and it was pretty good, more or less. A lot of time spent in computer labs. It's good times actually, in a way. Definitely, I'm just actually remembering now. Because it was International Women's Day yesterday, there was actually no women on our course at all, which is quite shocking, really. I mean, like there was just literally none. There was one girl on my course at uni, but yeah, it's pretty shocking. I mean, we were all kind of. It was good though. I mean, it's good. The college environment was good. I mean, so that was good to kind of just like cultivate learning about lots of different things, and they had lots of spare time. And yeah, I'm just kind of going off on that. So anyway, after that, I was gonna basically after I finished that, I got merit pass, which is kind of like a B plus, I suppose, or BB, I suppose, equivalent, I suppose. So then I progressed onto university, and basically when it came to university, I had three choices which I could have gone for at this point. So basically, I'd been accepted to study philosophy at Staffordshire. My logic there being that I'm quite analytical minded, so I thought I could apply myself quite well to philosophy. I was starting to read Plato, a lot of the Greek stuff, and just reading philosophy online as well, reading a bit about Kant, and getting stuff from the library, like general books on philosophy from the library a lot. And, or I was going to do an art foundation and started painting a lot more in my spare time. I mean, having the aforementioned thing that happened in college kind of screwed me up for a bit. But art helped me deal with that, or I could deal with all that stuff that was going on. Well, yeah, long story short, I just had like a bit of a nervous breakdown, I suppose. It's alright, you just build yourself up back from it. But yeah, so I'd been accepted on an art foundation, and then I'd also been accepted on an applied computing course at Manchester Metropolitan University, so I went and did that eventually. Logic being there it's more of an applicable thing that you can apply to for jobs and to change, make some kind of change on reality. Because philosophy, obviously, a lot of the time you are kind of changing the paradigms, I guess, of reality if you really write good philosophy, but you're talking a long-term, probably after you're dead, kind of change, to be honest, or even being understood. So I figured, go for computer science. My dad kind of helped me make that decision as well, I think. And yeah, this is a bit long, sorry, it's 30 minutes, but yeah, so that was that. Uni was good. Obviously, you get a lot more advanced in the subjects you study. So there's a lot of mathematics, which I was very scared about at first, because I wouldn't say I'm bad at mathematics, but when it comes to fast calculations, I actually had to have special help when I was in just before primary school, because I fell behind with maths. So I had one-to-one tuition for a while in my hometown. I had I just had one-to-one tuition with maths tutor who helped me understand like multiplication, addition, all that subtraction, because I basically fell behind a bit. But yeah, so I was a bit worried about the maths aspect of it, but it was actually all right. I mean, I didn't really pass with like distinctions or anything with the discrete mathematics part of the computer science course, but I did okay, and I kind of learned about it. I actually quite enjoyed it. I quite enjoyed being challenged that way. Of here's something that's really complex and difficult, actually, and it's going to take you a while to absorb. But it was a decent challenge that I was actually constructive in some respects. But then, beyond all that, obviously, we learned Java programming, object-oriented programming, web development, which is the main area, which obviously then went into multimedia. So web development, probably started off with JavaScript, learning a lot of JavaScript. Then we progressed into Perl and PHP. We did quite a bit of PHP, I think, in the second year. We did quite a lot of like information system structure stuff. It was a really good course, actually. I can't really fault MME for that. As with any university, nearly you have a mix of tutors, but most of them were really actually bob on and really supportive and good at what they were doing. Like the guy who ran the department was incredibly sound guy, actually, and very helpful, supportive, mentory actually. He's good. Keith, I think his name was. He was very good. I think he's head of department anyway, or I can't remember, but he was good. And then, obviously you have your computer science, you get a certain degree of eccentricity, but it was all kind of like endearing eccentricity. So yeah, anyway, going off on one now. So yeah, that was good. Did that, graduated. Basically, had another bit of a blip in my third year with mental health stuff, which did kind of screw things up a bit from a dissertation. But that's that. So graduated, and then I had my first few jobs. Basically, did like first job I had was basically data administration for an access database system, and worked for a housing association. It was only a temp job, but it was alright. Bit boring, but it was pretty good to kind of get used to structuring your day and coming in like presented in a certain way, which is unfortunately part of the deal sometimes with some places, I think. That's quite useful. A lot of it was just basically exporting data and kind of processing it in Excel, or doing data dumps or checking data integrity and stuff. But it was alright. It's good for kind of checking for being very making sure everything. I don't know what word I'm looking for. Anyway, moving on to the next thing. So the first web design things I started to do, I basically had one of my first jobs worked for an organisation called the Disability Information Bureau, and that was really good. That was a 6-month Future Jobs Fund job, because I had struggled a bit finding jobs before, so that was really good. I basically was IT support, but also developer for the entire little organisation. So they wanted to redesign their website and make it more accessible. So I did that. I coded the whole thing in HTML with a CSS external style sheet, which was a bit crazy because it was about. Well, it's not crazy per se, but it's not the way you do it now. But basically, so I had two different style sheets. So I had a style sheet for the ordinary kind of non-disability website presentation, and then one which would I had a little bit of JavaScript to change the text sizes and stuff, which would switch the I think you switch the style sheets actually. I think I remember. I see like a little icon that changes the text size. So that's for people with visual impairments. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so that was a big project. First big project I did for basically minimum wage. Good learning thing to do, really useful. Did a few little other things, like I've revised my own art website about 500 times now, which is always a constant process. Did a bit of freelance work. Did a bit of work for the Congreton Museum, which I think's still up. That's a few years later, but I'm just trying to go through for projects. But I think generally it's very good actually to do. it's important as a freelancer to get paid. It is important, and you deserve that. But at the same time, when you're starting out, I think it's also okay to help communities with their own projects and actually get reward from just doing that. And that is kind of a good way to learn as well. Sometimes, as you bring in now, you can't do that as you've gone on a few years. You shouldn't have to. But it's actually good sometimes to do those little first few projects as like either a freebie or kind of like a minimal fee. Obviously, you've got to negotiate your way around that and develop your own philosophy. I mean, my basic philosophy to development now is I don't mind doing things for cheaper, but I never do anything for free anymore. And I've actually been in a situation before where I was expected to do a lot for free, and I kind of didn't want to do it in the end. It kind of went, no, I'm not doing this. This is ridiculous. But without going into details, basically, this is organisation that wanted me to create a WordPress site in about a week, which was fully functioning presentation, like 5-page website with lots of different features and all the rest of it, and they were definitely demanding too much for free. I mean, sometimes it's probably alright to do things for free, but that's going to be at your discretion, really. I've rarely done it. I've done things for cheap for so recently I've been doing things for like artists and sites and little bits of development work, and I'm an artist myself, so I realise and recognise how much of a struggle that can be. So I don't mind if I get paid less. I mean, obviously I still expect payment, but I don't mind. And if something's interesting as well, I also don't mind working on it just for the sake of learning. A lot of it's about really finding your own comfort zone and all that stuff, I suppose. So yeah, basically, what am I saying? Learn. I think the best way to be the best freelance developer you can is to find your own comfort zone. Learn by doing. I think that's very important. I think you're not going to learn anything just by. I mean, let me show you. So I'll show you the books I've got anyway. So these are important. So like this is the one I'm reading now, React.js. For learning React, I'm going to learn that. I'm starting a new job soon, so to learn new React for it. WordPress book. Smashing WordPress is quite a good one. This is a nice CSS book. Basically what I'm saying is you need to buy lots of books. C++, which I'm trying to learn at the minute, or in bits. HTML5 is one of the first HTML5 booklets that came out. Basically what I'm saying is JavaScript, yeah, just like random magazines like this. But what I'm saying is you need to do all that, read all that stuff. But then the good thing about a lot of those books anyway is they often have a guide or a project that you have to work towards, and that is the secret, really, is read the lots of books and then do projects and then do stuff for fun, and then kind of negotiate your way through different projects. Listen to other people. Don't just think that you are the best and you are the shit hot because you can do this or you've done that. Be modest, but also be proud of what you've done in the past. Know when to be proud as well. I mean, sometimes you have to know when to be proud and when to give yourself a pat on the back and be like, whew, all this work I've done, all this knowledge I've accrued is actually useful. Definitely be able to take criticism for your code. Don't be too proud of it. I'm constantly on needing to improve and wanting to improve. I mean, I'm good at HTML, general laying out of that. I'm good at CSS. I think I'm pretty much all of those things. JavaScript, I could certainly get better, and you've got to be modest, like I said. I mean, one thing that really is quite annoying in programming communities occasionally is know-it-alls. Pretty much the most annoying species of programmer there is, and thankfully they're rare, but basically know-it-alls just will almost like guard things that they do know and will just constantly regurgitate the line that they are the best, and it's like an ego thing, really, and it's really annoying, actually, to be honest. Well, most programmers aren't like that, really. Most are quite kind of self-effacing, kind of like knowledge-sharing people. I'm going to end this now because it's 25 minutes long and I've rambled for ages, so those are some of my thoughts on freelancing development work, and a little bit of my story about how I got started in web development, I suppose, and assorted history, potted history of my life thus far. It's my 31st birthday as well, so. Hey! All right. See you in a bit.